too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
From historic North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, I'll tell you what, the Jack Dowel Simulators and eSports iRacing Truck Series is ready to get it on here at one of the birthplaces of NASCAR. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sim Racing Media. Dave Regal here at the microphone, as always tonight, bringing you all of the action. And folks, the heat is going to be turned up tonight as we get ready to do battle here in North Wilkesboro. So welcome along here as we get settled in, because I'll be with you from the green flag to the checkered flag right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, absolutely glad to have you with us. Thank you for making us a part of your evening here as qualifying underway for many of these drivers. In fact, let's drop on down here and see Alexander Gangler here in the Mountain Dew throwback paint scheme. As right now, taking a look, he is placing fourth on the leaderboard. Several drivers not getting out there and getting those times in yet, but right now, looks like, oh, John Wilco buying the farm here as he's finishing up his. Gangler going to try to come out for yet another lap, as John Wilco still had the option to perhaps come out here. Jacob Zala, let's take a look at him as he gets wound up here on his qualifying effort. Of course, glad to have everybody along with us tonight here on YouTube.com. If you're there in the youtube.com live chat, make sure that you let us know who you're pulling for tonight. Let us know who your favorite drivers are. Of course, Sunday night here in the SNN Cup Series, we had the All-Star race on Sunday night, and what a race it was. It was exciting. It was fun. And I can't believe that I'm saying this, but even yours truly wound up finishing in the top 10. So something different can always happen, especially when we're out at a place here like North Wilkesboro. And, of course, we're going to get into the history of North Wilkesboro Speedway tonight, as we do, with many of these historic tracks that we get to visit. Of course, Darlington last week in week number 9. And here we are in week 10 at North Wilkesboro, so it does not get any better than that. But let's take a look, if I can here, at our latest race results from the Cup Series. And, of course, now all of a sudden, there we go. Sim Racer Hub wanted to be a little slow, but Alex Murray brought home the checkered flag in our All-Star race, and, of course, that $50 bonus to that driver. Of course, a couple of other prizes to Raymond Root and Travis Kreinborg, who finished on the podium Sunday night. Brandon Edstrom finished 4th. Cody Colley finishing in 5th. Tanner Marty, Joseph Piscottiota, myself, Timothy Cook, and Bennett Allen rounded out the top 10. Of course, Bennett Allen tonight not in the cockpit, but up in the race control tower. In fact, we're going to see if we can get a hold of Bennett Allen tonight, as we're going to grab him and bring him on down here to the broadcast booth. Out of the cockpit and into the race control tower tonight is Bennett Allen. How you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling pretty good today, Dave. How about you?
Fantastic. Of course, congratulations to your graduation last week. I heard that you got to hang out with the boy king, Joseph Lester, who sits atop the timing line tonight. But how do you feel about watching these cars get around here, these trucks get around here tonight? As, North Wilkesboro is something that we haven't ever done before in the regular season.
Well, it is a short track, so you got to kind of be, eye full of all the yellows that are probably going to, I guess, in the early running in this race. And so that makes my job, a little bit harder, and I'll be really busy. But I'm planning on kind of giving them the reminder of that this is a short track, and it's 250 laps. So don't treat lap 1 through 249 as the last lap. And I am hoping that they understand that there's 2 stages. Let me remind myself and the viewers of that. It'll be at the end of lap 70 and end of lap of 140. So, it's pretty good amount of time for this track. And I'm excited to see what happens. Doing races last week, I thought North Wilkesboro fit the trucks at least. So I'm expecting it to be exciting, and I'm hoping that my job isn't at use that much.
Yeah, race control is definitely a very thankless job, but of course, for those of us that sit here in the broadcast booth, if it's not one complaint about not getting enough camera time, it's somebody complaining that their penalty should have been cleared. And, I know that you're always very busy up there. But, needless to say, we are here for 250 total laps. And just a reminder to what Bennett just said, stages are going to end at the conclusion of lap number 70 and 140. 6 sets of tires. We're going to be laying 5 tonight. So for 250 laps, that opens the pit window to somewhere between lap 40 and 55 in there. And I'm sure that we're going to see lots of trucks coming in here for pit service as we get ready to be underway.
Yeah, for sure. One thing you got to look out for is, if you want to try to pit early and play a little strategy, which, you can do definitely in stage 3 with how, extreme tire wear is at this track. You got to think this track surface is, it's very old. In this scenario, it was like 1987 type old. So it's going to chew away at those tires, heat up those rears, or, if people are driving off the right front, it's going to wear off that right front. So as the lap time's starting to get, farther and farther apart from their normal range, you might be able to benefit from short pitting, and you're gaining a lot of time, or pitting twice. So that's going to be interesting to watch unfold. And, 5 changes seems like a lot, but you might need every single one of those changes for this racetrack. So, like I said, I hope that this race isn't plagued by yellows, because in that case, the strategy will get weird, and it might get boring a little bit for us. But I am sure as I'll get out that Dave will do his best to entertain everybody. So we'll just have to see what happens. I'm a little bit, dreading this because it's a short track, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely from the broadcast side of things, it's going to be a dance monkey dance kind of night to keep everything fresh for the viewers at home. And one thing that we do want to take a look at here, where did that go? There we go. Do want to take a look here at the outdoor air temperature, 81 degrees for the fans in the stands, and for all of you at home, a beautiful sunny day here in Wilkesboro County, North Carolina. That may be nice and warm for those people there in the stands, but I'll tell you what. Track temperature 124 degrees, so I expect to see these tires all but melting off these trucks as we get deeper into the race. I mean, at 124 degrees, we're going to see some tire wear. We're going to see some slip sliding around, and everything that we've ever talked about, being a dream on a short track is about to come true tonight.
Yeah, drivers, with that track temp, that is one of the highest track temps I've seen in a long time. So it's going to be interesting to see how fast these tires wear and how far the times fall off. I didn't know the track temp was that bad, so first 10 laps might be really, really, about normal for a short track, but anything after that might be either super, super exciting or super duper unfortunate. So just gotta see and wait and see what happens, but yeah, the 124 track temp does not make me any more excited than I was.
No, that definitely, the other night we had 14 cautions for 68 laps. And as I'm taking a look here at John Bawalda on his opening lap, he wound up going 15th fastest here in the number 51, a Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance Chevrolet Silverado. He crosses the start-finish line and hops up all the way to 8th position. So going to be a busy night for you up there, Bennett. Good luck to you, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dave.
Get you all back up in here to Chris's Discord in the Jack Dowel Motorsports. Of course, John Bawalda, the chief cook and bottle washer here in the Tuesday night NASCAR Truck Series, brought to you proudly by Jack Dowel Simulators and eSports group here, as we're going to pull good old John down here. Hey, John, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me, brother? Of course not. Hey, John, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me? I'm going to have to send him on back up here. See if we can get a hold of one Tony Burt. Hey, Tony, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Dave, how's it going, man?
I'm good. I was just trying to get a hold of John, but it looked like he ghosted me a little bit here, so... Instead, I'm not saying that I didn't want to talk to you first, but I did want to talk to John about that paint scheme he's running proudly on the 51, the Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance Silverado.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here without our proud sponsors like yourself.
We're very lucky to be able to do that. Feel blessed.
Absolutely. How are you feeling tonight getting into this race? I assume that you're going to be starting it looks like you're going to be starting from the rear.
I hope. Yeah, this is I've seen the track now. I've made a lap. That's the first time I've seen the track tonight. Yeah, I have had no time in the car, and I'm having problems with my wheels. I'm not sure how it's going to go.
Well, buddy, I don't want to tie you up anymore, so good luck. It looks like you got about 3.5 minutes to practice, so get it in and get it hot.
Sounds good, brother. Thank you.
All right. God bless you.
Talk to you soon. You too, buddy.
Send him back on up here. We'll try one more time for John Bawalda. Hey, John, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me? Yet again, no John Bawalda. In fact, hey, John, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me? So unfortunately, no John Bawalda this evening here on the interview line. We'll have to check back in with him. So send him back up there. But folks, it's going to be an exciting night overall. Without a doubt at all in my mind. I mean, here's the thing: we're at North Wilkesboro Speedway. This racetrack itself, I mean, has been around. Not necessarily open, but around since 1945 when they broke ground. It opened in 1947. So this old track, kind of like this old house, is 76 years old this season. And of course, we're going to get into how it disappeared and how it came back to be. You know, a lot of the interesting things that we miss, you know, as NASCAR fans is being able to see a fan come out of being a driver. I mean, Dale Earnhardt Jr., yes, he is my favorite driver, you know, or was my favorite driver back when I was a young fella, as we see Channing Ballou get it sideways coming out of 4. But, you know, not only was he my favorite driver, but it also turns out that he's one heck of a NASCAR historian. And that man has an appreciation for the history of NASCAR and for the heritage of our sport. And it's interesting to see what he does with his position in this sport, because, you know, more often than not, sometimes you see folks in his position, you know, oh, well, I'll get around to it, or what's going on? I just lost an entire mouth. Stand by, folks. You'll have to forgive me, folks. I lost a monitor. I'm waiting for it to reboot. You know, the joys of technical racing. As that all comes back up online here. We do want to thank you once again for tuning in, of course, to the Jack Dowel eSports and Simulators Tuesday Night NASCAR Truck Series. Of course, this is the third tier series in the SNN Cup, well, in the SNN family of series. Of course, Sunday Night NASCAR available every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. right here on Sim Racing Media. Taking a look in our YouTube.com live chat, looks like Jay Poyetto is cheering on Sean Kelly. Sounds like Dcash Videos thinks that I'm a pretty good broadcaster. Appreciate that. Of course, that's Alexander Gangler. Looks like Dominic Cotillo. Wow, this is not a last name ends in a vowel club at all. Also cheering on Kelly. Jeremy Paris being cheered on by Carson Sherman, Kip Cook, Susan Ritchie. Of course, the 75. I don't see him in tonight's race. What in the world? That should be Stoney Banfield. And I don't see Stoney out here tonight. We are going to, you know what? When I do see him, Barb Opinion, I will be calling him the faster pastor. That's for darn sure. And Brandon Minto, I cannot agree with you more, as it looks like our drivers are gritting up here on the start-finish line. Let's take a look at our starting lineup as we get ready to go through here. Of course, Race Control going to extend the caution for me here as Joseph Lester, Raymond Ferreira, Jeremy Parrish, Channing Ballou, and Jacob Zala all netting top 5 positions tonight. We can see that right here. And we're going to take a look at each and every one of these drivers and their awesome paint schemes that we're going to see tonight, as Joseph Lester, the Boy King, driving the number 84 Kodak Throwback paint scheme. Kodak Throwback brought to you by Chevrolet Silverado. Raymond Ferreira here in the 18 going to be starting on the outside of row number 1. Row number 2 made up of Channing Ballou and Jeremy Paris on his inside. Sylvain Joly and Jacob Zala make up row number 3. Row number 4 going to be housed with John Bawalda and Alexander Gangler of Dcash Videos fame right here on YouTube.com. Gabriel Lafreniere, our neighbor from the north, going to be parked right along, or going to be driving right alongside the faster pastor, Stoney Benfield, from Albemarle, North Carolina. So kind of a home track for him. Brandon Minto going to be here in row number 6 alongside Stoney. Then Matt Mackin and Chris Klug going to be in row number 7. Ron Fitting and Jeff O'Rourke going to be in row number 8, with row number 9 made up of Claude Furland and Ron Fitting. Dan Morgan and Tony Burt going to make up row number 10, as well as Rich Jett, Sean Kelly and Steve Harry. And somewhere, there he is, Chris Claude there in that Dasani paint scheme, back to his normal looks here. Starting shotgun on the field, looks like he's going to be starting from pit road. That's John Wilco, and John Crow Sr. opting not to get in the truck tonight. So right now, folks, the iRacing.com pace car, as we get that out of the way there, the iRacing.com pace car lights are out, and that means that we are one lap to green here on Sim Racing Media. Glad to have everybody in with us on the YouTube.com live feed. So it looks like Joseph Lester having some kind of connection issues here at the beginning of this race, as he's going to have his foot hovering just above the loud pedal. The iRacing.com pace car brings these beautiful trucks into turns 3 and 4. And folks, that only means one thing. That means, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to call a friend, settle in, grab your popcorn, because we're green flag racing at North Wilkesboro. Oh, and Paris goes around here on right out of the first turn. And before we can even get out of turn 1, we are under caution as Jeremy Paris has gotten it all wrong early on. Of course, we're going to take a look at this from right here at turns 1 and 2. As the cars came into turns 1 and 2, we can see Paris just getting loose and sliding out and around. He manages to kind of do a pirouette and keep it moving forward, although definitely not. Gee, I hope that we had that running. Let's take a look here once again, as we're going to see these cars once again. Just as Paris comes into turn 2 and gets ready to exit, he just goes a spinning. Did it again. All right, let's see if I can make this replay work the way that it's supposed to. Shall we? That's better. So as we get ready to go back green flag racing, we'll get the ticker back up here, as you are all so used to seeing. Joseph Lester going to lead, Raymond Ferreira, Channing Ballou, Sylvain Jolie, Jacob Zala, John Bawalda, Gabriel Lafreniere, Alexander Gangler, Aaron Mack, and Stoney Benfield. Your top 10 here. Of course, John Wilco getting the free pass early on here, so that absolutely helps him, as nobody came down pit road. So once we go back to 1 to green, he will get back around that pace car. Of course, we're going to take a look at John Wilco, somebody who I always enjoy talking about. This man is from McAdoo, Pennsylvania, and let me just tell you, the town that he is from, you would think that nobody knows where he's from. But unfortunately, I am well aware of where McAdoo is. It is in the coal regions of Pennsylvania, right up there in the old 570, just outside. It's actually between Hazleton, Pennsylvania, of course, big town up there in the mountains, right alongside Pottsville, Pennsylvania. So about halfway in between those two towns. Of course, Rome Gold, a Pennsylvania treat. So glad to have John Wilco getting back on the lead lap. And here we are back under caution yet again, as something hysterical going on with our connection tonight. I don't think there are any storms in the Pennsylvania region. Of course, we'll be checking connections and everything else. And it looks like everything has settled back out, except for what's going on here on the racetrack. Kind of a slow start tonight, as we've only gotten about 3/4 of a full lap in of racing out of the first 10. 250 to go, so I hope these drivers are thinking about maybe settling in tonight, as it looks like Lester is right up behind the pace car, but Ferreira doesn't seem to know that he needs to be behind him. Aaron Mack here in the 31 machine. He's lined up behind John Bawalda, who has worked his way up 3 positions so far into 5th position. Stoney Benfield, the faster pastor, as he is now known in the NC811.org Ford F-150, and almost the same as last week, just 3 F-150s in the field tonight. The iRacing.com pace cars lights out once again. 3rd time tonight they're turning out. 2nd time for a caution. As once again Joseph Lester dropping out here. We'll keep an eye on that. And he hits the loud pedal in the Geico restart zone, and we're back underway. Lester getting a jump over top of Ferreira and Lafreniere in that Oxmoor 06 F-150. He's pulling along Jacob Sala in the number 37 F-150. So 2 blue ovals atop this pile early on, unlike what we've seen in other weeks. Meanwhile, as we check on, and here we go under caution yet again. We'll see what brought this one out here. Is looks like Dan Morgan may be involved. Keep an eye on that orange number 80 Chevrolet Silverado. Of course, he's got Tony Burt there on the high side. Burt staying clear out of the way. He's side by side with the 23 as Dan Morgan. Oh, the 23 gets loose up into Dan Morgan, and then he collects, my goodness, into Tony Burt. So we're going to take another look, perhaps from Sean Kelly, as we're going to go out here to the drone cam. It looks like Sean Kelly caught some grass and slid up there. Try to take a look at this one more time. So we're going to see the 23 maybe get just a little bit too low here. You might not be able to see it from this angle. Nope, there it is, right in front of our very eyes. There it is. You can see them coming in. You can see the 23 going up, collecting the 80 and the 4. And boom goes the proverbial dynamite as we are under caution yet again. And during this caution, we're going to step aside here and pay some bills as it's pretty early here on Sim Racing Media. Welcome back to North Wilkesboro Speedway, where the boy king Joseph Lester leads this piece here on lap number 24 of 250. Of course, here we are in the Dowel Simulators and eSports iRacing.com Truck Series. We're working our way toward lap number 70 as these drivers have finally gotten themselves strung out nice and single file. They can battle each other one-on-one instead of trying to take on almost like a hornet's nest, if you will. Right now, it looks like Raymond Ferreira playing with the rear end of that Chevrolet Silverado driven by Joseph Lester, and it looks like Ferreira is going to take him to the low side as Lester, with his connection issues flashing above him, that can be enough to make Ferreira perhaps back out of it. He does as we run down the back chute into turn 3. Ferreira still looking for a way to get around Lester. I think that was his opportunity. Unfortunately, we are under caution yet again, as I'm waiting to see what has brought this one out. Let's see if we can find this one here, as it sounds like it's going to be involving Aaron Mack. Thankfully, our good buddy Bennett Allen is in race control tonight and doing a heck of a job at it and helping me here in the broadcast booth, as we can see Mack just getting it a little hot here underneath the 51 and spins himself. Fortunately, no other casualties of this battle there as we go back live. But, you know, I was just talking about Joseph Lester And you know what? The young man is just a dominant driver all around. I mean, here's the deal. This kid, he has been in this league. He has been out of this league. And right now he is in this league, and he has come back with an absolute discipline that is matched by no other. And, last week after John Ballou took home the win, you gotta understand, Joseph himself did not run the truck, did not finish on the podium last week as he only finished 4th, but brought home his first Xfinity Series win last week at Darlington. And, we spoke with his father, Damon, for a little while, and Damon just absolutely, lauded his son for this new level of discipline. And, for any driver in any level of racing, that discipline level can get awful, let's just say frustrating, if you will. Where you think you're making some moves and all of a sudden not so much. And, Joseph had that problem once upon a time and has absolutely fixed where things need to be, at least for his driving skills. So glad to have him here atop the pile tonight as he searches for that first Truck Series win at North Wilkesboro here in the Tuesday Night NASCAR Truck Series, brought to you by Jack Dowel Simulators and eSports, right here on iRacing, of course, live on Sim Racing Media. As always, thank you for making us a part of your evening, folks, as we're on lap number 30, working our way toward lap number 70. We get ready to go side by side here, 2 by 2, onto the arc, if you will, as the iRacing.com pace car lights are out. It's going to be Lester, Ferreira, Lafreniere, Sala, Gangler, John Bawalda, Stoney Benfield, Claude Furland, Jeremy Paris, and Channing Ballou, your top 10. And after that win last week by Channing here in the 42, looks like Ballou is going to be looking for back-to-back wins here as the iRacing.com pace car peels down pit road. They hit the restart zone, and we're back underway. Lester getting the jump early again over Ferreira as they are side by side him. The 37 and the 06 are. We're going to keep it right here as the Ford Credit 37 F-150 is suddenly getting ready to hemorrhage another spot to Alexander Gangler, who's got his Mountain Dew throwback Toyota Tundra all kinds of cranked up tonight. But the commission, John Bawalda, of course, here in the Jack Dowel Simulators and eSports iRacing Truck Series, he is now lurking behind as he's starting to hemorrhage a couple of spots there to the 43. That's Claude Furland, and of course the 05 of Jeremy Paris, who had started so well earlier up there on the front row, now trying to recover and get back up there. Of course, the top 10 going to be awarded bonus points tonight at the end of each stage, including the third and final one. Wow, Paris getting a run on Bawalda. I imagine that he's getting awful frustrated as we suddenly see the faster pastor doing battle with Channing Ballou in the 42. And it looks like, as I'm trying to study this one, the 5 truck, that's Jeff O'Rourke. He is back here in the Exalta paint scheme on his Silverado, tucked right in between Benfield and Jolie. And he gets a run on Benfield here on entry, but Benfield getting the best of him on exit. Oh! O'Rourke coming around. Ooh, noses into the wall, but he stays moving. We stay green. As we're going to run this back and watch him, he got a run on Benfield. Benfield all but held him up, and I'll tell you what, if I was a driver, I'd be doing the exact same thing in this piece tonight. As we're going to see him get that run on Benfield, he kind of backs off a little bit and almost too much and just brings the rear end of that truck around. As Joseph Lester is also up here trying to defend the lead, as Ray Ferreira is working the low side as they get ready to go fender to fender down the back chute once again. Lester getting a great run on exit from turn 2, but here on entry, it's almost like Ferreira has figured out how to get that run on the inside quarter panel. He's got the low line locked down like a prison, and all of a sudden, Lester is suddenly able to drop right in front of him and throw the block. And listen, you might think it's too early to throw the block, but I think Lester is just absolutely defending the lead, and why not? Especially when you have that determination and that discipline that he has right now. They roll out of 2, they go back down the backstretch, and it seems like Ferreira has decided to back off for now. Meanwhile, taking a look at Gabriel Lafreniere, and now Chris Claude here in the 10 Tundra. Oh, he comes out of 4. Oh, nudges into the wall once again. And all of a sudden, he's going to be back here with Jeff O'Rourke and Jeremy Paris. All 3 of those drivers having incidents tonight. And he almost did the exact same thing O'Rourke did a moment ago. As we'll just get a different view of this. As he rolls it in. And just has that rear end step out. And, you know, we are getting into that witching hour here on lap number 44. So we might be looking at some green flag pit stops if that caution flag doesn't come out soon. Meanwhile, Tony Burt in the crosshairs of Joseph Lester as he's trying to nurse that number 4 Chevrolet Silverado, brought to you by A Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance, just in front of Lester. And if I know Tony Burt, and I do very well, he's going to wind up just ceding that away to Lester. As right now, that puts Tony Burt the only truck 1 lap down. So I'm near positive that he will be our lucky dog once we come under caution again, because I'm sure it's going to happen here, folks. As we take a look at Sylvain Joly here in the 08 Axon LED Toyota Tundra. He is just ahead of Brandon Minto in the 12 truck. He's kind of got himself in a nice little area right now with a cushion in front and behind, but he's got that 8 truck loose. These are definitely not the tightening cars of the Cup Series that we saw on Sunday night, as it looks like lots of these trucks, as that fuel load lightens and those tires start to melt off these cars, they get loose and sloppy. And from a handling standpoint, you're basically turning right to go left and keep it between the navigational beacon. Joe Lee's starting to hemorrhage a spot or two and some real estate between himself and Benfield and Pawalda just in front of him. So a couple of bees up there in their own little hive as Joe Lee rolls it out at 2. He stays on the low side of the double natural. That's Rich Jett on his high side. Jett going to get a run here on exit, I'm sure. That'll keep them just about dead even crossing the start-finish line, as it looks like Jett going to get the better of Jolie. Meanwhile, all of a sudden, John Mawalda starting to drop down right in front of Rich Jett to hold his position along with the faster Pastor Stoney Benfield, as Pastor Benfield going to roll out of 4. Of course, Stoney getting his first podium last week. That was an exciting night there for the number 70. And as we're watching this battle heat up, meanwhile, Joseph Lester starting to put some distance between himself and Ray Ferreira. That's a 1.1 second gap that we see now. And it does not get that much better for everybody else, as right now one of the closer battles here going to be between John Wilco and Sylvain Joly, as Wilco looking to get around all of us. Whoa! That's Tony Burt as they go 3 wide here. Tony Burt just trying to keep it out of the way. That allows Joly to slide up here against the wall. Diving down into turn 1 goes John Wilco. Joly kind of arcing the turn a little bit, holding the high side, so obviously he's got a little bit more bite on these tires. We may start to see a couple of green flag stops now, as Channing Ballou, right now your highest pit stop truck right now, came in on lap number 9 for some 4 fresh tires, and he is back up to where he had begun here in 4th position. $55 laps, 15 laps to the end of stage number 1 here, as I thought that I'd see the pit window open up by now, but I guess these drivers are going to try to hold on to these machines as they get through each of these turns as gently as humanly possible. Lap times all the way down to 19.63 seconds for Joseph Lester, whose best lap of the night was 19.05, but right now our fastest lap time of the night belongs to our neighbor from the north, Gabriel Lafreniere, in the 06 Oxmoor Ford F-150. He laid down an 18.92 second lap earlier, and his last lap was 19.7. So obvious tire fall off for these drivers tonight. As side by side goes the three of Ron Fitting and our race leader Joseph Lester, who now puts Dan Morgan in the crosshairs. He'll get around Morgan as long as Morgan stays down low where he belongs. That'll allow Joseph to get around them and now put some lap traffic between himself and Ray Ferreira. Meanwhile, we look up here to John Wilco in the 62 again, and now back at the 18 of Ray Ferreira, who has to get through these lap trucks. As the lap truck list gets longer and longer, and something has happened with Matt Mackin here as we are under caution. As we'll take a look. That's coming out of tune onto the backstretch. He just gets it wrong and slides, right into the guardrail. I'm assuming we're going to see some wholesale pit stops here, but I've been wrong once or twice, that's for darn sure. Gets through there okay. And we just don't have... There we go. Of course, a self-spin is never how you want to do that. You know, I mean, you don't want to hit anybody either, but I'll tell you what, more often than not, we see some of the weird stuff. We've got a helmet cam on Matt Mackin. Check this helmet cam out. As we see him coming back out, he gets on the throttle. He doesn't even get on it very heavy, so obviously those tires have seen better days on the 01. As it looks like the lap cars are going to come down pit road. Maybe to get themselves all saddled up here, as we are just about at lap number 70. Leaders not wanting to give up any kind of position, so that means that we're going to see the likes of Chris Claude, Ron Fitting, and Sean Kelly getting laps back once we come back green flag racing after the stage break. I'll tell you what, Stoney Benfield looks like he has a pretty big following here in our YouTube.com live chat. The Faster Pastor, driving the number 70, has several people here, of course, many of them from his spiritual family there at church. And I'll tell you what, folks, you might want to get in on some of this debate, as it looks like Stoney has the front end of the F-150 all kinds of tore up. As he's going to bring it down pit road. We'll see what he decides to do. No tires, just getting some repairs done. Let me see if I can help facilitate a little bit of an issue here. I don't know if I can get Chris up there. There he is. See if we can help out as best we can. Of course, as we get ready to go back green flag racing here at in the twilight of stage number 1, it's going to be Lester, Ferreira, Ballou, Lafreniere, Gangler, Zala, Minto, Furland, Wilco, and Bawalda, your top 10. And the name that I'm most excited to see here in the top 10 right now is Alexander Gangler. Of course, the pride of Big Rock, Illinois. He gets the green flag and starts his march toward the front. He has not come down pit road yet, but right now it looks like Gangler is a man on the mission as he's trying to get every bonus point he can as we're back under caution. That may be the stage break. Waiting on a ruling from race control. Everybody trying to figure out, you know what? Joseph Lester being a leader, coming down pit road and just deciding this is where he's going to take it. Race control is announcing that this is not the stage break, so that's going to change things for sure. That's not going to make Joseph Lester very happy at all, as he just came down pit road along with Channing Ballou in the 42. Ballou rolling off of pit road right on by Lester. He's going to bring along Stoney Benfield as they're going to roll out now 12th, 13th, and 14th. Of course, now we want to take a look back and see what may have happened here. See if we can't find out what happened with this incident. We can see where the 51... Oh! It was almost like an accordion there, the 62, the 31, and the 51 all getting together. And that's what brought out this caution. Some debate going on about the end of stage number 1 here. It will be a one-lap shootout for the stage. And apparently some kind of chaotic discussion going on in one of the team chats. Fortunately, we have race control, commissioners, and everybody else on the SNN staff with us tonight. As the iRacing.com pace car peels down pit road, we're going to have a one-lap shootout here to the end of stage number 1 here on lap number 70. That's going to open the door for Ray Ferreira in the 18. Of course, Ferreira rolling off in his Silverado just got a run out of nowhere over Lafreniere. As Brandon Minto in the Little Caesar Chevrolet, he goes out there, they cross. And as 10th place crosses, we should see now the stage caution. The restart is now under review from race control as Ray Ferreira appears to have brought home the green and white checkered flag for the end of stage number 1. He'll be joined by Gabriel Lafreniere, Brandon Minto, Jacob Zala, Rich Jett, Claude Ferland, Sylvain Joly, John Wilco from McAdoo, Pennsylvania, Jeff O'Rourke, and Channing Ballou in the 42, all receiving the all-important bonus points here. And now we will see some wholesale pit stops as the field is about to just absolutely reset itself, as Jeff O'Rourke, Channing Ballou, and Alexander Gangler are going to be atop the pile.
Yeah, I got you. Feeling pretty good. I was a little scared to race him with him blinking out every now and then, but this thing's fast. I think we got a good shot at winning.
Yeah, we saw you get a couple of runs, and then just as soon as you got up alongside of Lester, you know, he had a little bit of a connection issue. Looks like that stabilized, but, you know, he was just quick, fast, and in a hurry tonight. I understand there's a little bit of chaos going on up in your team chat, but, you know, listen, congratulations on the Stage 1 win. What are you looking for going into 2?
Just maybe keep the rear tires a little longer and try to win it the right way this time.
All right, brother man. Well, listen, congratulations, and we will see you on the other side.
All right. Thank you.
As we try to get him up here into the Jack Dowel Motorsports bin. And when we get going again here, as the iRacing.com pace car peels down pit road, Rich Jeck going to have control of the field. He's chosen the high side. Stage 2 is underway on lap 77. Jenny Balloon quickly getting around the 5 truck of Jeff O'Rourke. Jeff O'Rourke doing battle back here with Brandon Minto. As it looks like 2 of our neighbors from the north, Gabriel Lafreniere and Claude Ferland, doing battle. Alexander Gangler just rolled the fastest lap through segment 1 of the racetrack. We're still waiting to see if anybody can beat that 18.95 of Jeremy Paris or the 9.2 set by Gabriel Lafreniere. Not yet, as Gangler has whipped off an 18.97 second lap, so obviously he has something figured out in the 82 tonight. Carson Sherman, I see you here in the YouTube.com live chat. You can absolutely check out the SNN Cup Series on iRacing.com. You can check them out in the league pages. You can also search for the Jack Dowel Simulators and eSports iRacing Truck Series. Also in the league page there on iRacing.com, as Matt Mackin may have just had another wreck. We'll see what happened here. You see Mackin on those cold tires coming out of 2 alongside Joseph Lester going down the back chute. All of a sudden, the 51 on his low side, and Mackin, net code and then some between himself and the 51. And I think we had the chopper cam just ahead of that. As we did. Matt Mackin in the 01, the 51 of John Bawalda just below him. Now from there, it looks like there may have been contact between the 51 and the 01. See if we can look at this perhaps from another angle. Let's go to the right front fender, as I think we have a mini cam there on the 51. Down the back chute, he dives down here into 3. It could be net code, it could not be. There's a whole lot of questions there that quite frankly, race control is going to have to handle. Thank goodness we don't have to make those decisions from here in the broadcast booth. One decision we will make from up here in the broadcast booth is to go to a commercial break and pay some bills right here on Sim Racing Media.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Back here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, the Jack Dowel Simulators and eSports iRacing Truck Series live on Sim Racing Media on YouTube.com. Dave Regal here at the microphone tonight, everybody. Glad to have you with us, as it looks like Ray Ferreira, our winner of stage number 1, has gotten it all kinds of wrong here on lap 93. You see the 18 underneath the 82 of Alexander Gangler, as the two of them just not touching yet here. We roll out of 2 down the back chute, and it just seems like maybe the 18 got a little loose coming into the entry of 3 and self-spinning down here. On lap number 97 of 200. Working our way toward lap number 140, do want to bring your attention here to the low side of your screen. Of course, you can check out our Sim Racing Media ticker at one point there for the news and information going around in the world of sports. And, of course, right now, switching over to our schedule. Sunday night, of course, going to be the Coke 600 for the SNN Cup Series, of course, live at 7:30 p.m. with Tony Trapasso and Matt Metler. And that will be a full-length Coke 600, so 400 laps from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Going to be a long night for all of these drivers in the Cup Series. And quite frankly, I'll be honest with you folks, I will not be one of them, as there is just absolutely no way that I can justify being up that late at night just to finish 19th. That's for darn sure. But lap number 98 of 250 going right now. Then, of course, next Monday night, if you like hanging out with me on Tuesday night, you can come hang out on a Monday night as well. Of course, the A Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance Xfinity Series going to be live again from Charlotte Motor Speedway, as we will go live right at about 8:10, 8:15 in the evening, as Channing Ballou in the 42 takes off. He's up 3 positions from where he started. The double natural of Rich Jett in the 77 up 20 positions. There's only 1 left for him to get. And, of course, that's the lead, as he is trailing Channing Ballou now by half a second as Ballou rolls it out of 4. It looks like he is about to do what Ballou do and put on a clinic for the rest of these drivers, as it looks like we're going to be staying green here. Never mind, iRacing throws the caution, as Jeff O'Rourke has gotten it wrong. We'll see Jeff O'Rourke in the 5 truck. He leads the 43. And the 43 just getting a run and, just double doinking him, as Claude just got into Jeff O'Rourke. As it looks like Alexander Gangler going to be coming down for pit service. So it'll be Ballou, Jett, Minto, Lafreniere, Sala, Jolie, Benfield, Jeremy Paris, Steve Herring, and Ron Fitting, your top 10. Lap 122 of 250 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, the Jack Dowel Simulators and eSports iRacing Truck Series. Live here on Sim Racing Media, Dave Regal at the microphone as I had to step away and take a break there for a few moments and talk to the chief cook and bottle washer, Chris Claude, of course, in the owner's truck. It's one thing to be in the owner's trailer, but it's a completely different thing while he's out here turning laps and at the same time still having to do some administrative work. Almost a wreck out of turn 2, but looks like everybody holding it together. Joseph Lester down several laps now, 5 to be specific, as he is running in 19th. He had a chance to win this piece as Channing Ballou in the 42 Mountain Dew, wow, I could not possibly get enough ooze in that sentence, is out here just running a clinic. 2.6 seconds, the gap between himself and Jeremy Paris in the 05. But now Claude Ferland out of St. Jude, he gets himself into a wreck here. We'll take a look at it. As we see the 43 coming down in turn 2. And it sounds like he blew that engine. Unfortunately, I don't think you could help that one. In fact, let's go inside the cockpit here, as we're going to probably watch those RPMs drop down to next to nothing. Across the start-finish line, go into 2. And that's the end of the engine for the 43 Toyota Tundra driven by Claude Ferland. So that will open pit road here for what should be some interesting green flag pit stops. Channing Ballou in the 42, he comes down pit road alongside Jeremy Paris, as they're both going to get pit service. That puts Gabriel Lafreniere, who last came down to pit on lap 73 at the end of stage number 1, in control there. So when we go back, green flag racing going to be Gabriel Lafreniere, Raymond Ferreira, Brandon Minto, Alexander Gangler, Jacob Zala, Steve Herring, John Wilco, Aaron Mack, Matt Mackin, and I'm waiting to see what the decision on Ballou or Paris is, as Paris still down pit road as he is coming back around, so he may have a penalty to serve as he comes back to his pit box. And perhaps Paris is nope, he's coming down for tires as he comes in just for rights, so that'll loosen the truck up for sure. Looks like Blake Owen in the YouTube.com live chat saying, get it, O'Rourke. We'll see where Jeff O'Rourke is right now in the 5 machine. He is running back here in 20th position. So, unfortunately, probably a rough night for O'Rourke in the Exalta Chevrolet Silverado. See what's going on here. As it looks like Gabriel Lafreniere, now Raymond Ferreira in the 18, of course the winner of stage 1, up here on the outside row. Lafreniere takes off like a bat out of hell, and he goes down into turn number 1. He's got himself already a 0.2 of a second lead over Ferreira, but Ferreira knows how to get around this track. He knows how to make it boogie, as he was doing battle early on with Joseph Lester. As Lester was having some connection issues, Ferreira was still trying to hold his own to get around him. And now as they haul it off in the turn here, coming out of 2. It looks like Lafreniere still going to hold on to the lead. Meanwhile, Alexander Gangler, former race controller of Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series, it sounds like there's been a wreck. And we'll see if we can find where Matt Mackin went off track. You see, 84 and the 01 just get into it a little bit here. Let's take a run. Maybe at a better camera angle, that's for sure. As we'll see the 01 and the 84 make contact out of 2. A little bit of a rub. That drags the 01 up there. Jeff O'Rourke getting on the binders to avoid hitting the 01. As that definitely looked like some net code from the 01. And Race Control saying as much on our Talkback channel. So obviously Race Control able to do their job tonight very effectively. Of course, we do want to thank Race Control Bennett Allen, usually driving the number 15 in the Cup Series. Of course, I got to race alongside of him on Sunday evening, and I'll tell you what, it's not very often that I get to finish ahead of Bennett Allen, and it was just an exciting night. In fact, if you get a chance, go right here onto simracingmedia.com's playlist, and you can look up the Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. Check out the end of the All-Star race here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Of course, North Wilkesboro, we talked about earlier, opening in 1947. There we go. Opening in 1947. It closed the first time in 1996. Then it closed after the 2009 and 2011 seasons. But this season, it did play host to the 2023 NASCAR All-Star race there in the Cup Series. Of course, we also got to see the Cars Tour with, of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And, you know, you have to understand that, you know, back in 2021, the discussion was begun about, you know, resurrecting this racetrack. I mean, at that point, this place had nothing but grass coming out of the asphalt, and, you know, there's a certain heritage to racing that grows here in North Carolina. And of course, North Carolina native and currently living in Mooresville, North Carolina citizen Dale Earnhardt Jr., retired Hall of Fame NASCAR driver, he decided to get along with some investors and try to approach the state in getting matching funding to get this racetrack open back up. And the money was invested, and sure enough, we had a marquee event held right here on Sunday evening, live over on Fox Sports 1. Of course, the great DW back up in the broadcast booth for the evening on FS1. Always glad to see DW. But back in August of 22, it was kind of like a grassroots revival that started to begin here in North Carolina. Of course, Carson Kvapil, sorry about that, the Cars Tour, who ran, of course, back in 2022. Dale Earnhardt participated, as well as Carson Kvapil bringing home the checkered flag. This year, of course, was pretty exciting, of course, in the Cars series. Of course, now here I am trying to find the results from this year's race. I'll have to look them up. Working lap 139 of 250. Here in the final laps of stage number 2, Gabriel Lafreniere hauls it down into turn number 3. He's got the high side advantage to get the run out of 4 that he needs to stay ahead of Ray Ferreira. Gabriel Lafreniere does. He dives it down into turn number 1. He's bringing along Channy Ballou, who's looking to try to get around him. All of a sudden, Lafreniere having to battle 2 trucks to bring home the green and white checkered flag. The question becomes, does Ballou want to take the risk here, as Lafreniere crosses the start-finish line on lap 141 and wins stage number 2 here in the Jack Dowel Simulators and eSports iRacing Truck Series on Sim Racing Media. We'll see if we can get a hold of Gabrielle. Hey, Gabrielle, it's Dave up at the broadcast booth. You got me. Hey, man, congratulations here on the Stage 2 win. It looked like at the very end here you were holding off Ballou and Ferreira. How was it trying to hold off both of those drivers?
Very difficult. I was not sure if I can stand with my tires, but yes, the yellow helped me a lot for that before.
Absolutely. Of course, I'm just going to keep it quiet here as you get into the pit box. And there you are, safely getting 4 tires. How does the 06 Oxmoor F-150 feel as you get ready to go into Stage 3?
Feel great. I hope can finish top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, you've got a long fight ahead of you here as it looks like you're going to come out in 7th position. So obviously you're going to be able to lay back a little bit moving forward here into Stage 3.
Yes, I'm sure I can go 2 or 3 places in front.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, congratulations on the Stage 1 win, or Stage 2 win, and maybe we'll see you on the podium here at the end of this piece.
Thanks, I hope. Bye.
See ya. All right, we're going to send him back on up here to the Accent LED channel. Of course, Gabriel Lafreniere, driver of the 06 Oxmoor Ford F-150, just one of 3 Fords in the field tonight. But as we get ready to go back, Green Flag Racing, Channing Ballou in the 42, he's going to have that Mountain Dew machine up atop the pile. Rich Jet, Jeremy Paris, Dan Morgan, and Ray Ferreira going to be your top 5, followed by Gabriel Lafreniere in 6th, Alexander Gangler in 7th, Zala, Minto, and Herring round out your top 10 as we get ready to go back to green here in stage number 3. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out as we go back into turn number 3, passing the Holly Farms logo here between turns 3 and 4. Pace car diving down pit road. Channing Ballou opting for the high lane. He gets a jump in front of Rich Jet, and we're back underway for stage number 3. They go 3 wide behind him as all of a sudden Dan Morgan trying to hold his own. He sits right between. Wow! Was sitting right. Oh, this is going to be a mess. There it goes. Jacob Sala and Dan Morgan making contact, and all of a sudden it looks like a used car lot. Let's take a look back here and see what happened. We're going to see these trucks come out of 2, into 3 and 4. There they are. There's the initial contact as they slide through, and they don't make it back to the entrance to pit road. My goodness. It was such a shame for those 3 drivers, especially getting the faster pastor in there in his F-150. So the 37 going to be sent to the end of the line by race control. He will not lose a lap, but he will be sent to the end of the line for that wreck. Just about 100 laps left here as they cross the start-finish line under caution. Going to be Baloo, Jet, Paris, Ferreira, Lafreniere, Gangler, Minto, Morgan, Herring, and Mack in your top 10. All of a sudden, Jacob Zala having trouble getting around this piece. Let's drop into the old cockpit here and see if maybe he's having engine issues or if he's just waiting to get to the end of the line. He gets into the grass here, not sure why. Come on, Jake, get up there onto the racing surface. There you go. Attaboy. And now he gets himself back underway as he's going to get tucked behind Jeff O'Rourke here in the Exalta number 5. The lights are out on the pace car. Is Channing Ballou going to have control of the field? He has opted once again to go ahead there and take the high side. As the pace car dives down, they enter the restart zone. Ballou takes off like a gunshot, and we're back underway. Joseph Lester driving like he stole it. He's trying to get some laps back here as he's still down about 5. We're going to see, should still be down 5 laps, but the young man still not willing to give it up. One thing that I did notice in the real-life truck race on Saturday night, and of course that I'm seeing here, is the amount of banging and bumping that these front splitters are doing coming into the turns. This old racetrack has some character left in it, and you can see that that has to be quite a challenge for these drivers to hold on to as they make it through these turns. Of course, you can see the whole front end picked up going down the front stretch and then slamming down against the asphalt coming into 1. Of course, we do want to take a look at, of course, you know, since we've got so much history here at North Wilkesboro, we want to take a look at the multiple winners for this racetrack. Of course, the most wins at this racetrack belongs to Richard Petty. Then in second position, the great one, Darrell Waltrip. He finishes his career with 10 wins at North Wilkesboro. Dale Earnhardt and Cale Yarborough each finishing with 5, with Terry Labonte, Bobby Allison, and Junior Johnson having 4 wins apiece here in North Wilkesboro. Of course, DW spending a lot of time down here in North Carolina getting himself built up as a name. And of course, you know, for most of us that were growing up and getting into NASCAR in the early to, basically through the 2000s, if you will, you know, Darrell Waltrip was simply a voice at a microphone screaming boogity, boogity, boogity into his microphone. But, you know, once upon a time, he was a dominant race car driver here in the circuit. Speaking of dominant, Stoney Benfield working the low side of Matt Mackin in the 01. He makes pretty easy work of Mackin and now drifts back up to the high side here on the racetrack. The first winner here in the Cup Series at North Wilkesboro was a fellow named Bob Flock, who was driving for Frank Christian. He got his Oldsmobile in 1949 through 200 laps here, so just 50 fewer laps than we're running tonight, with an average speed of 53 miles per hour. So definitely not a fast track back in the day. Of course, Buck Baker bringing home some wins here. Then all of a sudden, we get into the Petty era. Lee Petty ripping off 3 in a row from April through March 1959 to 1960 for Petty Enterprises, and an Oldsmobile and a pair of Plymouths. All of a sudden, his average speed hopped up to 74 miles per hour. Then we get all the way here to today, where today's, Sunday's average speed was 92 miles per hour. So still not a very fast racetrack, but still very technical, as we see Aaron Mack drifting up to the high side of the racetrack to get out of the way. Ron Fitting holding his ground in front of the 23. That's Sean Kelly. As Kelly also has a rear view mirror full, it looks to be. My goodness. The 62 of John Wilco still getting around this piece, as Wilco has gotten himself into 12th position, still down 5 from where he had begun this race, but clawing his way ever so closely up into the top 10. He trails Ron Fitting, who's up 7 spots. Rich Jett, still our big mover of the evening, up 18 spots, running right now in 4th position. Gunning ahead for 3rd as Jeremy Paris in the 05 Chevrolet Silverado trying to hold it off. Nothing but bow ties 1st through 4th. You can throw a blanket over them, as Gabriel Lafreniere, your first non-Chevrolet, followed by Alexander Gangler, your first Toyota. Jett getting a little wall rub here. Many of these drivers last coming down on lap 142, 149. But Channing Ballou last coming down on lap 126. So about 20 lap older tires for Ballou, and he is still out here running a clinic of how to get around this piece. He leads Ray Ferreira by 1.2 seconds. We're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back to North Wilkesboro Speedway, as it looks like the 37 of Jacob Zala, who is now sitting on pit road, may not have wanted to do that, as we'll take a look here on lap 187. He comes down the front chute, comes into turn 2, all kinds of hot underneath the faster passer. It actually sounded like perhaps he had a mechanical failure. We'll ride along in his cockpit momentarily here, folks. And here we go. And of course, once that engine failed, it just dragged him up into the high side. So definitely not the way that Jacob Zala wanted to finish his evening, but that suddenly opens things up here on pit road. As many drivers, Ferreira, Paris, Ballou, Lafreniere, Gangler, all coming down pit road. That leaves Mack and Herring fitting Mack, Wilco, and it looks like just those top 5 all having decided to stay out. Now they come down pit road. So that'll bring in Mack and Herring fitting Mack. Mackin and Mack. That could get confusing later on in the season. Especially if you're still consuming Rittenhouse whiskey, that's for darn sure. So that'll cycle up Channing Ballou back to your race lead. He'll bring along Raymond Ferreira, Jeremy Paris, Gabrielle Lafreniere, Brandon Minto, Alexander Gangler, Stoney Benfield, Rich Jet, Steve Herring, and Ron Fitting into the top 10. As Benfield and Jet going to come down pit road here. The faster pastor deciding maybe he can get another lap out of those tires. Of course, we do want to remind everybody about our Sim Racing Media broadcast schedule. You can check that out right here at the bottom of your screen. SRM having broadcasts about 6 nights a week right now. Saturdays used to be kind of a night off, but obviously we had to extend that a little bit. And, you know, ESPN was even talking about North Wilkesboro, and it was interesting to see how they talked about North Wilkesboro returning, to greatness, at least to the forefront, if you will. And it's pretty interesting if you think about that. Of course, Rahal is going to be back at Indianapolis in the 500 field. But right now, Channing Ballou hits the loud pedal. We're back underway here on lap 195 of 250. Ballou getting a jump over Ferreira and Lafreniere as they are still side by side battling it out coming out of turn 2. Lafreniere holding his ground on the high side as, all of a sudden Ferreira getting a little loose coming into 3. That opens the door for Lafreniere to get a run out of 4. They haul it down into turn number 1, and Lafreniere still having the advantage, just trying to get that truck wound up on its RPMs to drive off here 2. He just needs maybe one more turn to try to get another run over the 18, as the 18 is going to be drafted up behind by Jeremy Paris. Side by side of the 06 of the 18. Lafreniere having the advantage in 1 and 2, and almost dead even in 3 and 4 with Ferreira. Ferreira now getting the edge here on the low side as those tires have gotten nice and hot here. 8 laps old. All of a sudden, Jeremy Paris just nudges his way here onto the inside of Jeremy Paris. And now it goes Ballou, Ferreira, Paris, your top 3. But I would bet dollars to donuts as Grandpa Evans would have said to Big Chris. And we haven't seen anything yet. Lap 203 as they get ready to cross the line here. Ferreira and Paris still doing battle. As Benfield seems to have had an issue here. We'll take a run back and see. Benfield on the low side of Dan Morgan being chased down by John Wilco. Wilco taking a whole lot of that rear bumper of Benfield's F-150. Shoving Benfield down the front stretch. Looks like he got it back under control here. Maybe some connection issues, if you will. He still led the 80 of Dan Morgan, so perhaps those connection issues is what brought him up on timing and scoring like that. Ballou now having a 1.6 second lead over Ferreira. As it's Ballou, Ferreira, Lafreniere, Gangler, Minto, Mack, Jet, Herring, Fitting, and Mackin. Mackin still having to battle his way up here, but Rich Jet and Steve Herring both up 15 positions, running where they are right now in 7th and 8th respectively. They're chasing down Brandon Minto in the number 12 Little Caesar Silverado. We can see Aaron Mack in the 31 holding his own just below the 12 of Minto. Go up here to our drone cam and see if we can't get a better shot. As these two drivers not ready to put it away early tonight. Here on lap number 209, about 42 laps to go to the end of this piece here in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. And something that we had talked about last evening. Let's see if we can check that out from here. I want to take a look at the turn 4 cam. Or maybe the turns 3 and 4 cam. There we go. Gonna see if we can fly over here. And of course, not tonight. Sunday night during the Cup race, we actually noticed that the scoreboard there, the 31 stepping out, grabbing some grass. We stay green as he stays moving forward, pointed in the right direction. As we are under caution, as the 62 spun coming out of 2, this will be his first at fault of the evening. So he'll be receiving an EOL as he rolls out of 2 rolls out of 4, diving into 1. Obviously, he had this thing all kinds of cooking hot. And just as he steps out of 2, overcooks the exit, and boom goes the dynamite. You can see that puff of smoke come out the front of the 62. He gets back underway, but I'm sure he's going to have some kind of damage repair to do. As some of these drivers with extra tires going to be coming down pit road, that's Ballou, Ferreira, Lafreniere, Minto, Mack, and Jet. So they've gotten themselves all settled in here now with 35 to go when we cross the stripe. Chris Claude not having the best of races in his own words, as he's got the number 10 Dasani Water Toyota Tundra right behind the iRacing.com pace car. Once he gets out of the way, that'll leave Alexander Gangler up here on the lead. It'll be Gangler, Fitting, Mack, and Ballou, your top 4. And that'll pretty much be the most traffic that Ballou has had to fight through. There's a lot of oohs every time I mention Channing Ballou. But that's Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series Commissioner Chris Claude. We'll see if we can get a hold of Chris. Hey, Chris, it's Dave up at the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, wanted to check in with you here. You had a great turnout for the All-Star Race Sunday night. How does it feel to be on these hallowed grounds of North Wilkesboro?
It feels really good. Anytime they can go to a track that has been kind of left for dead, for lack of a better term, for so long. I mean, I would hope that they could have some other tracks like Rockingham and maybe revive them also. I think I'd actually enjoy that track even more. Even though I have driven it recently in iRacing, I kind of know how it is. But it's been fantastic, and I'm really glad that we had a decent turnout tonight. I would have liked to see fewer cautions, but I attribute that a lot to just the guys not being as familiar with this track as they would be others on the schedule.
Absolutely. I mean, it was great that we were able to have the All-Star race. Of course, looks like you're not having as good of a night tonight as you did on Sunday night, but as the commissioner of the SNN Cup Series, what does it mean to you to be able to have this kind of a turnout at a place like this, especially with some of these dedicated drivers around you?
Oh, they are the best. I mean, I really appreciate the type of commitment that these guys make to come and race, especially those that run more than just the truck series. It does take a lot of time away. We run full-length races in each series. And, this is a track that, quite frankly, a lot of guys probably don't even own because it hasn't been on the schedule for so long. And the fact that a lot of people did obviously decide to get it, from what I can tell, when we've had the green flags, have enjoyed the racing that we've had, and look forward to possibly this track being on the schedule in future seasons.
Absolutely. It'd be neat to see, maybe they revive a track a year, but that's just in my own fantasy world, if you will. But listen.
Yeah, I also heard that they had talked about repaving it, so it could change some of the character of the racetrack if they decide to do that, and also rescan it in iRacing, which I'm sure Dale Jr. would not have a problem with if they went that route.
No, absolutely not. Well, listen, I don't want to hold you up as we're back under green flag racing. But once again, congratulations on getting at least 2 out of the 3 series here to North Wilkesboro, and we will see you next week in the Coke 600.
Absolutely. I'll see you there today.
That, of course, the great Chris Claude, driver of the number 10 Dasani Water Toyota Tundra. I almost said Dasani Water Toyota Supra, as I spent so much time last season calling the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series, of course, now brought to you by A Lot Cleaner Property Management and Maintenance, of course, also available right here on YouTube.com. So if you like hanging out with me on Tuesday night, you'll like hanging out with me on Monday night as well. Of course, you can also come out and cheer on the number 8 glove store. Well, actually, it's the Murph's Fan Club Toyota Camry on a Sunday night. Of course, I don't believe I'll be racing in Sunday night's Coke 600, but all things considered, still should be a good turnout, because it's going to be 400 laps at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Right now, Ray Ferreira and Channing Ballou doing battle here. Ballou trying to close in on him, as he has now gone orange on timing and scoring, so he's closing in ever so cautiously. Meanwhile, we take a look back here at Brandon Minto trying to get in on Alexander Gangler, as Gangler trying to hold off Minto and the 23. That's the lap car of Sean Kelly. These 3 trucks back here in a little bit of a twist. Gangler getting the run out of 2, trying to hold his ground over top of the 12, but still manages to lose the spot away to the Little Caesars Chevrolet Silverado driven by Brandon Minto.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Drivers that took time.
7 laps to go here tonight in the Jack Dowel Simulators eSports iRacing Truck Series race, live from North Wilkesboro Speedway in Wilkesboro County, North Carolina. Dave Regal here at the Sim Racing Media microphone, live in our studios in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. Ray Ferreira, your race leader, he is followed by Channing Ballou, and it looks like Ferreira has opened up a 1.2-second lead, now more than 0.2-second lead over Ballou with just 5 laps to go. It goes Ferreira, Ballou, Lafreniere, Jett. Your top 4 with Aaron Mack getting honorable mention to round out the top 5 with now 4 laps to go. Ferreira has worked his tail off and won the second stage after a little bit of a, won the first stage after a little bit of a convoluted end to the first stage, which of course is what caused Joseph Lester, the Boy King, to fall so far back, and he has decided actually to put it on the hauler, as he is the only Jack Dowel Motorsports truck to be still out here on the racetrack with 3 to go. Looks like Ballou not able to catch up to him at this point. With now 2 laps to go, the popsicle sticks are in the air as we haul it off into turn number 2 for Ferreira. Ferreira has Jeff O'Rourke in his crosshairs, as O'Rourke in the 23 of Sean Kelly holding him off. Now the popsicle sticks are down. The white flag is in the air. We're racing back to checkers. It goes Ferreira, Ballou, Lafreniere, your top 3. Ballou, the only one out of the top 3 not to win a stage, but right now Raymond Ferreira rolls out of turn 4, crosses the start-finish line, and wins the Jack Dowel Simulators eSports iRacing Truck Series event here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, this hallowed ground in NASCAR history. He is followed by Channing Ballou in the 42, Gabriel Lafreniere in the 06 Oxymore F-150, also finishing here on the top 3 for the podium. Rich Jett, Steve Herring, Brandon Minto, Aaron Mack, Stoney Benfield, the Faster Pastor, Ron Fitting, and Alexander Gangler rounding out the top 10. And now with us here in Victory Lane, Ray Ferreira. It's Dave up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, congrats here on the win tonight at the hallowed ground of North Wilkesboro Speedway. How does it feel to bring home that first career win in the Jack Dowel Simulators and eSports iRacing Truck Series for the team as a new Smyrna Beach native?
Oh, man, it's awesome. I think that's the hardest I've ever had to drive, battling Channing there. I knew I had to get ahead of him or have a long run to beat him. And
yeah,
I was able to get ahead of him there and made it happen.
I mean, you know, here it is, a pair of Floridians going at it hammer and tongs toward the end of this race, but all of a sudden you got some lap cars behind you and you were able to just drive away with the checkered flag in hand. I mean, you know, this has to be one of those statement wins, especially coming into the series as a rookie driver this season. Of course, that should move you up comfortably in the point standings and lock you into the playoffs, of course, if you race enough races. You know, what are you thinking about now moving forward in the season?
Well, I did the math, and I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to point my way into the top 10. So I knew I had to win. I figured this is my best chance, this or Gateway coming up in a couple weeks. And luckily we made it happen here.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, if you're going to do it, you might as well make a statement at a place like North Wilkesboro. I mean, you know, it doesn't get any better than this, for lack of a better term.
No, this is a great track. The tire fall off, the throttle control, it just makes for really good racing.
Well, listen, man, before we cut you loose so you can go celebrate with your teammates up there in the Jack Dowel Motorsports stable, who do you need to thank for this run tonight?
I want to thank all the guys at Jack Dowel Motorsports, all my buddies at Blackhawk Motorsports, everyone that puts on this league, you for putting on the broadcast, and yeah.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations, and we will see you next week, hopefully, there in Concord, North Carolina at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yes, sir.
All right, the great Raymond Ferrer, who brought home the checkered flag to New Smyrna Beach, Florida. And right now, waiting in the wings is his fellow Floridian, Mr. Channing Ballou, driver of the number 42 Mountain Dew machine. There's a lot of oohs in that, Channing, and ooh, you only finished second tonight, bringing home the silver trophy to Pensacola. How you feeling, buddy?
Man, I don't like silver. Just got screwed on the restart. Got blocked. Not a whole lot I can say, man. I'm not very happy. That was some of the biggest crap I've ever seen in my life. People staying out on old tires who had no business doing it. Raymond blocked me into 3, and next time he does it, he'll be on his head.
Sounds like there's a little bit of frustration there from the 42 Mountain Dew stable. I mean, you know, as you look ahead, at least, you know, you can put this one in the rearview mirror and look forward to next week at Charlotte. What are you thinking about as we get back to the intermediate speedways and you know, more of your bread and butter?
We're going to start trying to lap the field. I mean, I really want to pull all the reins off now and just start really just dragging people and making them punish for being in the way. I'm really mad about this one, Dave.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, you know, here's the thing. At the end of the day, you know, you've had a pretty dominant vehicle, both in the Xfinity and the Truck Series. So, you know, although that it may be a rough finish tonight, you know, there is always next week. Of course, as a Philadelphia sports fan, we're always talking about there's always next week or there's always tomorrow. So before we cut you loose tonight, who do you need to thank for this run?
I got to thank everybody that worked on the truck over at Reaper Speed Lab. It was a hell of a truck. Should have done better with it. Got outdrove by Lesser, and it's really disheartening when we had that good of a truck and for that to happen. But yeah, we can look forward to next week. Charlotte's a good racetrack for us. I mean, what can you say? We've had a good season, but I don't like losing, man.
Trust me, I totally understand it. It can be a very frustrating thing to finish there in second on the podium, but you know, good luck next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we will see you there, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dave. Y'all.
That, of course, Channing Ballou, driver of the number 42 Mountain Dew Chevrolet Silverado. And finally, last but not least, our neighbor from the north, Gabriel Lafreniere. He finishes third here on the podium. Hey, Gabriel, it's Dave up in the booth. He got me.
Hey, yes, I got you.
Well, after a stage win tonight, you still bring home third-place honors here on the podium. How are you feeling after this run tonight?
Very happy. My teammate didn't finish the race, so got a lot of points for me and the team. So, good day. Good day.
Well, your interview is going completely the opposite direction from where Ballou was a moment ago. I mean, you know, as far as getting around North Wilkesboro, I don't know how much exposure you had, you know, being from Canada on, you know, what North Wilkesboro means to the sport. Even me here in Pennsylvania, I didn't understand how important North Wilkesboro was until Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his group of investors brought it back to prominence. So what does it mean to at least finish where you did here, you know, at this hallowed ground?
I'm very happy. Below and the first one, I lost his name. Ferreira.
Ferreira, yeah.
Yes. the last stint was very strong. So just finished third. It's all good. Strong night.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, congratulations on the third place finish tonight, your stage win. Who do you need to thank before we cut you loose?
Thanks to you, the broadcast, Jack Dowel, Sylvain, Claude, my teammate, and Oxmoor beer.
Yeah, I still haven't found Oxmoor beer. Of course, I got into the whiskey bottle tonight, but I still have that on my shopping list of things to check out, at least in the near future. So, congratulations again tonight, and we will see you next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yes, but the beer it's only in Quebec, so that's difficult for you.
Well, I definitely don't see Quebec as being on my travel list for the next week or so. So maybe I'll tell you what. Hopefully one day I get up to at least get to Toronto for a Blue Jays game. So maybe that's when I'll have to check out Oxmoor.
Sound good.
All right, brother. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thanks. Good night.
That, of course, the great Gabriel Lafreniere, driver of the 06 Oxmoor F-150. Of course, Toronto still not there in Quebec. I'd still have to get to Montreal. But overall, still a very impressive run for the 06 Oxmoor F-150. And these drivers tonight put on a heck of a show for you folks. A lot of you tuning in over the evening tonight. Of course, a lot of you active in our YouTube.com live chat. Glad to have all of you with us. And before we get out of here, we do want to take one final look at our race results. We'll pull those up on your screen right now. Raymond Ferreira in the number 18 Chevrolet Silverado for Blackhawk Motorsports and Har eSports brings home the checkered flag tonight here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. He's joined on the podium by Channing Ballou from Pensacola, Florida, and, of course, Gabriel Lafreniere in the 06 Ford F-150. So a pair of bow ties and a blue oval on your podium this evening. Rich Jett and Steve Herring round out the top five, followed by Brandon Minto, Aaron Mack, Stoney Benfield, Ron Fitting, and Alexander Gangler in the number 82 Mountain Dew Throwback Toyota Tundra, rounding out your top 10. Your top 20 are made up of Matt Mack and Dan Morgan, John Wilco from McAdoo, Pennsylvania. Sorry, folks, got my nose a little clogged there. Chris Claude out of Fairview, Tennessee, finishes in 14th position. Sean Kelly in 15th. Jeff O'Rourke, Jeremy Paris, Jacob Sala, Joseph Lester, and Claude Furland round out the top 20. Sylvain Jolie, Tony Burt, and John Bawalda III make up your final drivers here that took the green flag and made it to the end of the race. Just 9 cars on the lead lap at the end of this piece. And, folks, what a race it was here in North Wilkesboro. I know this week has been full of history and tradition in NASCAR, and we end it with a fantastic race here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. So for everybody here at Sim Racing Media and, of course, around the world on YouTube.com, Facebook, and everywhere else you can view us, I want to say thank you for making us a part of your evening. And, tomorrow when you're going through your day, remember that you're special. You're the only one that's made like you. There's no one else that's like you, and you should appreciate yourself for who you are. Good night, everybody.